learners, Miss Cross is here today for our math lesson. And if you remember, we are working on the learning target this week of being able to say that I can explain that in a multi-digit number, a digit in any one place represents 10 times what is in the place to its right, okay? So today we have a new activating strategy before we talk about our place value stuff. And this one is called Which One Does Not Belong? And you're going to see 4 different things. And I'm going to explain what they all are. And then I'm going to stop so that your teacher can pause and get some of your ideas. You're going to choose the one that you think does not go with the other ones. Now remember, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but you do need to be able to explain your decision and tell us why you chose the one you chose. Okay, here we go. All right, which one doesn't belong? So this is how these activating strategies will be set up in boxes like this of 4 different things. So we see a 4. We see 10 groups of 4. We see 8 groups of 40. And then we see 40 times 10. So I want you to think about this for a few minutes while your teacher pauses the video, and then you can share which thing you think doesn't belong and why. Okay, boys and girls, good job on your activating strategy. Today I'm going to model a few more problems thinking about the place value work we've been doing this week. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to switch over to my paper, and you can watch me work this problem out on paper. Lucas moved to a new town in a new state. The town Lucas lives in now has a population of 46,743 people. Which number has a 7 with a value 10 times greater than the 7 in 46,743? Now, we're going to be teaching you in a few weeks some word problem skills, and that involves underlining or circling very important numbers and information and really understanding the question. So when I have a word problem like this or a story problem, I always read it at least 2 times because I want to be sure I understand what it's asking me. So again, he has moved to a new town that has a population of 46,743 people, and I am now going to search for a number that has a 7 that's value is 10 times greater than the 7 in 46,743. So I'm going to switch over to my paper, and I have written all of this down on my paper already. So these are the choices. That was A, B, C, and D. Okay, so my number that I'm starting with is 46,743. And I'm looking at these numbers to find which one has a 7 that's 10 times greater in value than this 7. So the first thing I'm going to do is just look at all my 7s. I'm going to find them. So that one's in the hundreds place, that one's in the thousands, this one's in the tens, and this one is in the 10,000s, okay? So this is the one we are comparing. So I notice that this 7 is in the hundreds place. So that 7 has a value of 7 hundredths, okay? So now I have to think about these numbers and figure out which one of these 7s is 10 times greater than this 7, okay? So one way that I'm going to think about this is basically what we've been talking about all week. If I were to move this digit over to the next place value, its value would increase 10 times. So if I moved a 7 from the hundreds place over here, it would be worth 7,000, okay? And if we really wanted to solve that out, all you would do is multiply 700 times 10 because the value is getting 10 times greater, and you would also get 7,000. So I'm going to look at these, and I'm going to find out which one of them has a 7 in the thousands place, because that's the one that's going to have the value that we're looking a 7 in the hundreds place. So I know that one is not correct. And in my class, we call this slash the trash. We go ahead and get rid of it if we know it is not our answer. Now, when I look here, I do see a 7 in the thousands place. So I think that might be my answer. But I always want to look at all of my choices just to be sure that I'm not getting tricked or fooled or making a mistake. So C, I have a 7 in the tens place. That's definitely not the same as 7,000. So I'm going to slash that. And then D, I have a 7 in the 10,000s place, which is not the same as 7,000. So I'm going to slash that, and I know that this is the right answer. This 7 in 17,395 has a value of 7,000, which is 10 times greater than this 7 here in this number. Okay? Awesome. Now, let's look at another problem. Okay, we are going back to the slides for just a second so we can see the next problem. Okay, the population of the town where Lucas used to live has a 3 that is 1,000 times greater than the value of the 3 in the number 46,743, which was the population in his new town, which could be the population of the town. Okay, again, I'm going to read through that again to be sure I understand what I'm doing. The population of his old town where he used to live has a 3 that is 1,000 times greater than the 3 in the number that was the population where he lives now. So which could be the population of this town? Okay, let me go to my paper and I'm going to think about this for a second. So I've already written this out. So here was the population of his new town, and we're talking about this 3 this time. Now, we're looking for a number that's 1,000 times greater. Now, we haven't talked about that really. We've talked about things being 10 times greater, but now I need to think about 1,000 times, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. So if this is a little confusing, don't panic. We will go through it in much more detail tomorrow. But I think that even if I'm not sure about the place value, I think if I multiplied 3 times 1,000, I would get that number that's 1,000 times greater. And I think I can do that pretty easily. I'm pretty sure that 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. Because 3 times 1 is 3, and then I have all these zeros still here. So I'm now going to look at all my 3's. I forgot to circle them here. And I am going to look for the one that has a 3 in the thousands place, because that value will be 1,000 times bigger than this 3. So I look here and I see 53,467. Ooh, that 3 is in the thousands place. I think that might be my answer. But again, I want to look through all of the choices before I decide, just to be sure. So this has a 3 in the hundreds place, which is not 1,000. That is a 3 in the ones place, which is definitely not 1,000. This has a 3 in the 10,000, so that is not correct. So my first choice this time was correct. The number 53,467 has a 3 in the thousands, which is a value, 3,000 is 1,000 times greater than a 3, which was the number in that one. Okay, let's go back to the slides for one more problem. Okay, so this one I am going to ask you to work on independently. So your teacher can pause this after I explain it and work through it with you, or you can keep watching the video and I will work through it with you as well. But we do want you to practice on this one, okay? Jason was reading about elephants. He read that 1,300 Indian elephants and 13,000 African elephants are living in the world. He said there are 10 times more African elephants than Indian elephants. Do you agree or disagree? And explain your thinking. Boys and girls, explaining your thinking is so important in 4th grade math. Even if you have the right answer, So over here I've written out the information from the problem. So he says, or he knows from what he read, that there are 1,300 Indian elephants and 13,000 African elephants. And he says that that there are 10 times more African elephants, I abbreviated that, than Indian elephants. So 10 times more. So if I have 10 times more of something, I'm going to have to multiply that value times 10. So if he thinks there are 10 times more African elephants, that would be 10 times more than the Indian elephant. So that would mean he would be having, or we would be multiplying 1,300 by 10 to get 13,000. Now, we're supposed to say whether or not we agree or disagree. I want you to think for a second. Is this correct? Is this right? Are there 10 times more than this number and this number? Think about that. I think that I agree. This is exactly what we've been working on. If we shift these digits over to the left, which is what's happening between this number and this number, their value is increasing by 10. So yes, there are 10 times more African elephants than Indian elephants. Now, I started getting curious and I started looking up about elephants because I was wondering about this. So I now have some random, totally non-math related trivia for you. If you're interested, some of you might know this. I did not, or if I did, it's been a really long time since I've heard this or thought about this. So I started wondering the difference between African elephants and Indian elephants. And I looked it up, and these are African elephants, and they have much bigger ears, and their ears are actually the same shape as the continent of Africa. I thought that was really interesting. And I also read that their ears help them cool off, and it's hotter in Africa than in Asia, where the Indian elephants are, and so they need bigger ears to help cool them off. Then we have the Indian elephants, and they have these smaller ears. They also have a different head shape. You can see this kind of lump on their head, which is different from the African elephants. They don't have that. But look at their ears. Their ears are shaped like the country of India. I found that really interesting. So, I hope you had fun doing math today. I hope you maybe